Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, we're going to fully test out the Whynter Portable Air Conditioner, the 14,000 BTU model. I'll be putting it through all kinds of tests to see how it performs, and we'll also compare it to some of the most popular AC units in the same category. Just to give you a quick reference, this is a portable AC that's considered one of the most powerful on the market, thanks to its dual hose design, which we'll dive deeper into later on. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right into it. Starting with the test most people are here for. How fast this thing can cool down a room. Let's find out. For this test, I set the unit to its max settings and let it run for 2 hours in a room that is approximately 350 square feet. I started with the temperature at 80 degrees, and in just the first 30 minutes, it dropped to 73, which is honestly really fast. I also want to mention that I did this test on a hot day, right around noon, just to simulate the worst case scenario for the AC. After an hour and 15 minutes, the temperature was down to 70 degrees, and by the end of the full 2 hours, it managed to reach 69 degrees. That's when I stopped the test. So this is actually a really solid performance for a portable AC. Just to give you a quick reference, I ran the exact same test with the Black+Decker 14,000 BTU unit, which is one of the most popular models out there, and after 4 hours, the room was still at 76 degrees. The main reason for that difference is how these units are designed. The Black+Decker uses a single hose system, and what that does is it pulls in warm air from the room, cools it, and then pushes it out. But at the same time, it creates negative pressure, which actually brings in more warm air from outside, making it less efficient overall. Now, on the other hand, the Whynter uses a dual hose system, which is way more efficient. The hose on the right pulls air from outside to cool down the internal components, while the hose on the left pushes the hot air back out. That is why, if you look at it with a thermal camera, you'll notice the left hose is hotter than the right one. This setup helps keep the air pressure in the room balanced and prevents warm air from being pulled in, which is something single hose systems struggle with. And that's a big reason why this AC cools the room faster and performs better, especially on hot days. Another thing I checked was how hot the AC itself gets while it's running, and honestly, it handles the heat really well. The hottest spot I found was on the back, right below the exhaust hose, which makes sense since that's where all the hot air is being pushed out. If you want to make this AC even more efficient, you can add some insulation around the hoses, especially the one that expels the hot air. That way, less heat will radiate back into the room, and the unit won't have to work as hard to keep the space cool. Now, when it comes to power consumption, this AC is rated at 1300 watts, but during all my testing, it actually used between 1000 to 1200 watts, depending on how hard it was working. I connected a little power meter before starting the test to keep track of the energy use, and over the full 2-hour test, it consumed about 2200 watt hours, which averages out to around 1100 watts per hour. That might sound like a lot, but when you compare it to other models like the Black+Decker 14,000 BTU unit, that one actually consumed over 1400 watts in the same test conditions. So overall, the Whynter is not only more powerful, but also more energy efficient than a lot of its competitors. Another thing to mention is that most portable AC units have a water compartment where they collect moisture from the air, and you usually have to empty it every so often. But this unit has a built-in auto evaporation system that handles most of that for you. It takes the moisture it collects and evaporates it out through the exhaust hose. So in most cases, you don't have to worry about draining it. I checked the water compartment after about 6 hours of use, and there was just a small amount of water in it. So unless you live in a really humid area, you probably won't have to deal with emptying it often. Now, another thing I want to point out about this AC is that even though it is a dual hose system, which might seem more complicated to install, it is actually really easy to set up. The two hoses are still super manageable and don't make the installation process harder at all. One quick tip is that when you are removing the hoses, don't press the two clips to try and pull them out. That's actually the hardest way to do it. Instead, twist the connector slightly and then pull. It comes out way easier that way. Also, the unit comes with covers for the window panel holes, so if you're not using the AC, you can cover everything up and keep it looking clean. When fully extended, the hoses give you a total length of about 62 inches. which is great if your window is in a high position or not very easy to reach. However, I recommend using the shortest length possible. The shorter the hose, the less heat it will radiate back into the room, and the more efficient the AC will be. So, if you do need to use the full length, I highly suggest getting some kind of insulation for the hoses, especially the exhaust one, to help maintain performance and keep the room cooler. As for the noise level, it runs at around 56 to 60 decibels, depending on the mode you're using. To give you a better idea, that's about the same as a microwave. So yeah, you're going to hear it running, especially when it's working hard to cool the room, but it's not overly loud or annoying. One thing I have to mention is the remote. It's a bit small, which makes it easy to misplace. It only includes the basic features. The good thing is, if you lose it, you can still control the AC using the physical buttons on the unit itself. But honestly, this is one area where I think there's room for improvement. It would be great if they made a slightly larger remote or even added an app version to control it from your phone. That would make things way more convenient. So after this test, I have to say I'm really impressed with the performance of this portable AC. It cools fast, it's more efficient than most other units in its category, and the dual hose system really makes a big difference. This AC is perfect for anyone who needs serious cooling power in a medium to large room, especially if you don't have central AC. It's also a great option for people who want something portable, but still powerful enough to handle the heat, even on really hot days. If you live in a humid area, just keep in mind you might have to check the water tank now and then, but other than that, it's a solid choice. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in this product, I will leave the link in the description below so you can check it out. If you decide to purchase using my link, I might earn a small commission, which helps support the channel at no extra cost to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.